Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel where we review anything and everything. And today we're getting into this Marvel Legends series Spider-Man Spider-Venom. So this is a kind of re-unboxing because I actually gave this to my sons who ended up playing with it, so they end up unboxing it, but we're kind of doing a re-unboxing, if you will, in regards to it. So first I'm just going to pull this right off because this is already detached and he comes with this here, but we're going to get into that in a moment. So getting into the box here, now we previously reviewed the Spider-Man 2099 figure, a non-unboxing review, but I'm actually shortly after this am going to do an unboxed version because I ended up buying a second version that I gave to my sons. But anyway, so we can see here where it says on the back of the box, Spider-Venom, it says, as Eddie Brock and his son Dylan, I think that's how you say his name, Dylan, go to war over control of Venom, the symbiote instead chooses to bond with former host Peter Parker and become Spider-Venom, sorry. So there was a long kind of like story kind of going, and I don't know all the details on it, but kind of in regards to Spider-Man, Venom, really circling around Venom, Venom's son, and Null coming to Earth and causing this whole chaos. I don't know all the details of the story, whatever the case is. You guys can kind of look that up online. There are plenty of videos that actually just kind of narrate it for you guys if you guys want to quickly know on that. But this is kind of really off that basis and not so much on the basis of, say, when Spider-Man had the symbiote suit for the first time. But I purchased this because my son recently was watching the gameplay of Spider-Man 2, the video game, which not from the movie base, but the more kind of newer ones. I'm not familiar because I don't really play it like that, but the ones where it has Miles Morales in it and whatnot. And in that, Spider-Man had ended up getting the symbiote suit, and my son wanted a figure based on that. Now they had some for the Gamerverse that was like that, but they were a little bit more expensive. And this one, those were pushing about $40, and this was in that range of kind of more your normal Marvel Legends price, which is about $30 now. I hate that they went from like $25 to $30, but nonetheless, that's around like the norm now, $29.99. So I ended up getting this to kind of fill in that gap. Now, with that being said, you could have this type of figure to satisfy that same need if need be. You can see here, we'll go over all the pieces in a second. But he does have a total of 3 sets of hands, which I feel that with a Spider-Man figure, you always need at least 3 sets of hands. You need one set that is showing them shooting webs, another set that's showing sticking to walls, and another set of just fist. So, okay, so here we go. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit here. So, just so we can see some of these details on the figure up close. Now, like I said, it's different than if you wanted an all black costume, but I think it kind of fits pretty well. And it actually is very similar to the one for the Gamerverse one that was demonstrated in that game, in that design, or even that figure itself. So yeah, it's your standard articulation. He does not have the toe bends, but I'm usually fine with that. I know for Spider-Man, some people like that for the extra posing, but at the same time too, I know that sometimes those can get loose and it makes it hard for a figure to sometimes stand. So getting into some of the accessories here. So you got Peter Parker head, which I think is great. If you don't have one, you get one, but this one is also, excuse me, partial symbiote. Let me try to put this on off camera because this can be a little hard sometimes. It's got the symbiote coming on it. I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing. It's a good thing if you want to ever use this head for other symbiote versions. It's bad because you can't use this head for anything else. If you don't have a Peter Parker head and you have this one, it's not going to look right on any other body unless it has, you know, it's part of the symbiote. But they just recently released a Secret Wars version that just dropped. or at least is coming soon. And that one is Spider-Man in his regular costume where he first gets the symbiote. This could go hand in hand with that as well. Now, that's part of, like I said, Secret Wars one. Now, like I said before, or if I didn't mention it before, links going to be in the description down below for you guys to purchase on Amazon if you guys are interested. And yeah, this version, like I said, he's pretty good. So you see the hands that it comes with, the thwipping hands, that's how people say it. But, you know, Spider-Man shooting his webs. And once again, he's got that whole white and black thing going on here, which, like, if I'm not mistaken, in the game, and I'm only mentioning that because that's what my son kind of wanted. He wanted me to get him figures based on the game. And like I said, this was an option. And I don't think he really knew that it wasn't, because there was a Spider-Venom version in the game, or just where he has the black costume. And it did have a lot of white on it as well. But this definitely is different than your typical black suit Spider-Man with all this white. And maybe they did that just to kind of distinguish that with all the extra white on it, like, it's different. They're trying to make it maybe like when he had it and it was in the black, all black, it's when we knew it was a time frame where it took over him and he was possessed. But here is probably just to kind of distinguish that he's not evil anymore with it. But he comes with a chain in this version. And like I said, I don't know the, you know, that much about the story. So maybe in that story he had a chain. In my mind, coming from a perspective of not really knowing the character, it would have been great if he had a web, but like I said, I don't know this version, so so I can't really speak on that. But if this was a whole like web kind of thing curled up like this and whatever, that actually would be pretty nice. Now, one thing that's cool about this though is that you're able to lock this piece in together. It just clamps in. Let me see if I can get it because it's a little hard. Clamps in like that, and when it does that, you can see how it locks in like that. Let me make sure I got some of this light here. You can see how it locks in like that. That it really almost becomes, you wouldn't even know that that's the locking point, because it just seems very seamless to a degree, and you wouldn't even know that that's the point in which it locks in. So I think that was really cool. So I like the accessories. I like what this figure comes with. Like I said, a good amount of hands and whatnot. I think he's a great fill in for if you wanted, like, say, to replace that Gamerverse one, because it's kind of expensive, or if you just want a black costume Spider-Man. But obviously he's not going to be your typical black costume Spider-Man, because we all know the black costume Spider-Man doesn't have this much white on him. But nonetheless, if you're not one of those people who are just very picky about, you know, your collection and it has to be this way or whatever the case is, then it's not an issue just to, you know, say, okay, this is black costume Spider-Man, you know, during that time. That's not a problem, just to kind of say that if you want to. So yeah, my son ended up liking the figure. I think it's a really cool. And like I said, a lot of times too, when it comes to especially buying figures for kids, I would say you just try to find the figures that are the best bargain. And as far as a black costume Spider-Man one, they had the Secret Wars one. That one is now very expensive. The Gamerverse one is like at least $40. So this is one of the more affordable ones at $30. Not to say that that's affordable, because not, but this is the most affordable one at that price right now, I would say. So anyway, you guys, as always, like, share, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.